The bar's neon glow flickered, casting jagged shadows across my face as I stared at my phone. Another date gone wrong. He didn't show. The text read, "My third no-show this month," each one carving a deeper hollow in my chest. I was 28, living in Brooklyn, and somehow, every spark of romance I chased fizzled into nothing but excuses and silence. I shoved my phone into my pocket and leaned back against the sticky bar stool, the hum of chatter and clinking glasses fading into a dull roar. New York was supposed to be the city of dreams, where love bloomed on every corner. But for me, it was a maze of dead ends. I was Jamie Carter, a graphic designer with a knack for picking the wrong guys and a heart that refused to quit hoping. My friends called it resilience. I called it stubbornness. Tonight's disaster was with Ethan, a charming accountant I'd met on a dating app. We'd texted for weeks, witty banter, shared memes, even a late-night call that left me grinning like an idiot. He'd promised to meet me at this dive bar in Williamsburg. But an hour passed, then two, and my inbox held nothing but his curt message, "Sorry. Something came up." No explanation. No follow-up. Just another ghost in a city full of them. I swirled the last of my whiskey. The ice long melted, and glanced around the bar. Couples laughed, their hands brushing, their eyes locked in that infuriatingly perfect way. I wasn't jealous, not exactly, but the ache was real. I wanted that. The connection, the warmth, the feeling of being seen. But every date I went on crashed and burned, and I was starting to wonder if the problem was me. Work was my only constant. I'd been at Bright Vibe Studio for 2 years, a small design firm in Manhattan where I spent my days sketching logos and tweaking ad campaigns. My coworker Lucas Bennett was the office's golden boy, sharp-witted, infuriatingly talented, and effortlessly cool. He had this way of smirking that made you want to punch him and hug him at the same time. We'd been friends since my first day, when he'd handed me a coffee and said, "Welcome to the chaos, newbie." But lately, he'd been off. Distant one day, overly attentive the next. I couldn't pin him down. I paid my tab and stepped into the crisp October night, the city buzzing with life. As I walked home, my phone buzzed. A text from Lucas. "How'd the date go?" I stared at it, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. He always asked, like clockwork, after every failed date. I typed back, "Another bust. Think I'm cursed." His reply came fast, "Nah. You're too good for those losers." I smiled despite myself, but the warmth faded quickly. If I was so great, why did every guy I liked vanish? The next morning, I dragged myself into the office, bleary-eyed and nursing a latte. Lucas was already there, hunched over his desk, his dark hair falling into his eyes as he scribbled on a notepad. "Rough night?" he asked without looking up, his voice teasing but soft. "Rough life," I muttered, slumping into my chair. Ethan ghosted me. Didn't even show. Lucas's pen paused, just for a second, before he shrugged. His loss. Guy probably got cold feet. "You're intense, Jamie." He glanced at me, his hazel eyes catching the light, and something flickered in them, something I couldn't read. "Intense?" I raised an eyebrow. "Is that code for undateable?" He laughed, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Nah. It's code for too much for most guys to handle. You'll find someone who gets it." His words lingered, heavy with something unspoken. But I brushed it off. Lucas was always like this, vague, cryptic, dodging anything too personal. We worked in silence for a while, the hum of the office grounding me. But as I opened my dating app to delete Ethan's chat, a notification popped up, a new message from a guy named Caleb. "Hey, saw your profile. You seem cool. Coffee this weekend." My heart did a cautious flip. Maybe this one wouldn't flake. I showed the message to Lucas, expecting his usual sarcastic quip. Instead, he frowned, his jaw tightening. "Caleb. Huh. Sounds like a finance bro. You sure about this one?" I rolled my eyes. "You sound like my mom. It's just coffee." He leaned back, crossing his arms. "Just be careful. Okay. Some guys aren't what they seem." I didn't think much of it then. Lucas was protective. Sure. But he'd never been this skeptical. I brushed it off and texted Caleb back, setting a date for Saturday. Maybe this time would be different. Saturday came, and I sat in a cozy cafe in the West Village, the smell of fresh coffee and cinnamon filling the air. Caleb was late. 10 minutes turned into 20, then 30. My phone stayed silent, no texts, no calls. I checked the app, but his profile was gone. Deleted. Another ghost. My chest tightened, the familiar sting of rejection settling in. I walked back to my apartment, the city's energy mocking my defeat. That night, I texted Lucas. Caleb bailed, officially giving up. His reply was instant. "You're not giving up. Come over. I've got pizza and bad movies." I hesitated, then grabbed my jacket. Lucas's place was a safe haven, a place where I could forget the world for a while. But as I rode the subway to his apartment, a nagging thought crept in. Why did every date fail? And why did Lucas always seem to know exactly when they did? At his place, we sprawled on his couch, a half-eaten pizza between us. The TV played some cheesy rom-com, but I barely watched. Lucas nudged my shoulder. "You're too quiet. What's up?" I sighed, running a hand through my hair. "I don't get it. Man. Every time I think I've found someone decent, they vanish. It's like I'm cursed." He looked at me, his expression unreadable. "Maybe it's not you. Maybe it's them." Them. I laughed bitterly. "All of them. Come on, Lucas." He didn't laugh back. Instead, he leaned closer, his voice low. "Sometimes people do stupid things to protect what matters to them." I frowned, confused. What's that supposed to mean? He opened his mouth, then stopped, shaking his head. "Forget it. Let's just watch the movie." But I couldn't forget it. His words stuck with me, sharp and heavy, like a puzzle piece I didn't know how to place. As the night wore on, I watched his easy smile, the way his eyes softened when he looked at me for the first time. I wondered if the problem wasn't my dates. Maybe it was something or someone closer than I'd realized. The next week at work, I couldn't shake the unease Lucas's words had planted. He'd always been a puzzle charming 1 minute, guarded the next, but now his cryptic comments felt like clues to something bigger. I watched him across the office, his head bent over a sketch, his fingers tapping a restless rhythm. Was he hiding something? I tried to focus on my own projects, but my mind kept drifting back to my string of failed dates. Ethan, Caleb, and before them, Mark and Dylan, all promising. All gone without a trace. I'd always chalked it up to bad luck. But Lucas's comment about protecting what matters gnawed at me. What did he mean? And why did he always text me right after each disaster? Like he knew. By Wednesday, I was spiraling. I needed answers. Or at least a distraction. So when a new guy, Noah, messaged me on the app, "Hey, Jamie, you free Friday? Love your vibe," I jumped at the chance. Noah was a photographer, with a warm smile in his profile pic and a portfolio of dreamy cityscapes. We clicked instantly, trading messages about art and music. I told Lucas about him over lunch, expecting his usual skepticism. But he just nodded, his face tight. "Sounds nice," he said, picking at his sandwich. "Just don't get your hopes up too high. Okay." I bristled. "What's that supposed to mean? You think I can't handle a date?" He met my eyes, something raw flickering in his. "That's not it. I just don't want you getting hurt." His concern felt genuine, but it stung, too. Did he think I was too fragile for love? I pushed the thought aside and focused on Noah. Friday night, I dressed up jeans, a crisp white shirt, and a leather jacket and headed to a rooftop bar in Chelsea. The view was stunning, the city sprawling below like a sea of stars. Noah was already there, even more charming in person, his laugh easy and his stories vivid. For the first time in weeks, I felt a spark. We talked for hours, the conversation flowing like we'd known each other forever. He leaned closer, his hand brushing mine, and my heart raced. This was the connection I'd been chasing. But then his phone buzzed, and he glanced at it, his face clouding. "Sorry. I have to take this," he said, stepping away. He didn't come back. 10 minutes later, I got a text, "Family emergency. Gotta go. So sorry." My stomach dropped. Another one. I waited, hoping for a follow-up, but his profile vanished by morning. Gone. Just like the others. I didn't tell Lucas right away. Instead, I spent the weekend replaying every date, every ghost, every moment that felt off. By Monday, I was done with coincidences. I marched into the office, my jaw set, and found Lucas at his desk, sipping coffee like nothing was wrong. "Hey," I said, my voice sharper than I meant. "We need to talk." He looked up, startled. "What's up?" Noah bailed. Just like Ethan. Just like Caleb. Every single time. I leaned closer, my hands gripping the edge of his desk. "And you always know." "Why is that?" "Lucas." His eyes widened, but he didn't flinch. "I check in because I care. Jamie. That's all." "Bullshit." The word slipped out before I could stop it. "You're hiding something. Every time I go on a date, it falls apart. And you're there, acting like it's no big deal. What's going on?" He stood, his chair scraping back. "You're being paranoid. I'm your friend. I'm just looking out for you." "Looking out for me?" I laughed. Bitter. "Feels more like you're keeping tabs on me." The office went quiet. Our coworkers glancing over. Lucas's face hardened, but his eyes were soft, almost pleading. "You don't get it," he said, his voice low. "I'm trying to." "Trying to what?" I cut him off. "Ruin my life. Make sure I stay single forever." He froze, his mouth half open, like I'd slapped him. For a second, I thought he'd argue back, but he just shook his head and walked away, leaving me standing there, my heart pounding. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat on my couch, scrolling through old messages, trying to piece it together. Lucas's texts after every failed date, his weird warnings, his sudden mood shifts. It didn't add up. Then I remembered something. A few weeks ago, I'd left my phone on my desk during a meeting. Lucas had been there, alone, for a good 10 minutes. My dating app was open. Could he? No. That was crazy. Lucas was my friend. He wouldn't sabotage me. Would he? The next day, I tested him. I told him I'd match with a new guy, Ryan, and we were meeting Thursday. I didn't mention that Ryan didn't exist. I'd made him up. If Lucas was somehow involved, he'd tip his hand. Sure enough, that afternoon, he started acting weird again. He kept glancing at my phone, asking questions about Ryan, what he did, where we were meeting. His voice was too casual, his smile too tight. Thursday came, and I didn't go anywhere. I sat in my apartment, waiting. At 8 p.m., right when Ryan was supposed to meet me, Lucas texted, "How's the date going?" My blood ran cold. I hadn't told him the time or place. How did he know I was supposed to be out? I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop and dug deeper. I checked my dating app's activity log, something I'd never thought to do. There it was, multiple logins from an unfamiliar device, all around the times my dates had gone south. Someone had been accessing my account, and I had a sinking feeling I knew who. I confronted Lucas the next morning, cornering him in the break room. "You've been logging into my dating app," I said, holding up my phone, the evidence glaring. "You've been messaging my dates, haven't you?" His face went pale. "Jamie, don't lie to me," I snapped. "Every time I get close to someone, they disappear. And you're always there, acting like my savior. Why?" He looked away, his hands clenched. "You don't understand." "Then make me understand." I was shouting now, my voice echoing in the empty room. "Why are you doing this?" "Because I love you." The words burst out of him, raw and desperate, like they'd been trapped for years. He froze, his eyes wide, like he couldn't believe he'd said it. I stared at him, my heart hammering. "What?" He ran a hand through his hair, his voice shaking. "I've loved you since the day you walked into this office, Jamie. Every time you went on a date, I couldn't stand it. I know it was wrong, but I thought if I could just keep you from getting hurt, by hurting me yourself." I cut him off, my voice breaking. "You sabotaged my dates because you were jealous." "It wasn't jealousy," he said, stepping closer. "It was fear. Fear that you'd find someone and I'd lose you. I know it's messed up. I know I'm messed up. But I couldn't lose you." I didn't know what to say. My best friend, the guy I trusted, had been pulling the strings behind my heartbreak. And now he was standing here, confessing he loved me. The room spun, and I walked out, leaving him standing there, his words hanging in the air like smoke. The city felt different after Lucas's confession, like the air itself was heavier, pressing against my skin. I walked home that night, my thoughts a tangled mess, the lights of Brooklyn blurring into streaks of color. Lucas loved me. The words echoed, each one a shard of glass sharp, beautiful, and dangerous. I didn't talk to him for days. At work, I kept my head down, avoiding his desk, his eyes, the way he lingered near the coffee machine like he was waiting for a chance to explain. I wasn't ready. How could I be? He'd betrayed me, manipulated my life. And yet, part of me couldn't stop replaying his voice, raw and broken, saying he loved me. It was too much. On Saturday, I met my friend Mia at a diner in Park Slope. She was the only one I could trust with this. Over greasy fries and milkshakes, I spilled everything Lucas's sabotage, his confession, the way my heart twisted every time I thought about it. Mia listened, her eyes wide, then leaned back in the booth. "Damn, Jamie," she said, swirling her straw. "That's a lot. But can I be real with you?" I nodded, bracing myself. "You've always talked about Lucas like he's more than a friend," she said. "The way you light up when he's around. I've seen it. Maybe you're mad because he hurt you. But maybe you're also mad because you feel something, too." I stared at my fries, her words hitting too close. Did I? Lucas was my rock, my safe place. But love, I'd never let myself go there. He was straight, or so I'd thought. He'd never dated anyone, never talked about crushes. But I'd assumed, God, I'd assumed wrong. "I don't know what I feel," I admitted. "I'm just so angry. He lied to me. Mia. He ruined my chances with other guys." She raised an eyebrow. "Did he, though? Or did he save you from guys who weren't right for you?" I wanted to argue, but I couldn't. Ethan, Caleb, no, they'd all seemed great. But maybe Mia was right. Maybe they weren't meant to be. Still, Lucas had no right to play God with my love life. That night, I sat on my fire escape, the city humming below. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through old photos, Lucas and me at a company picnic, laughing over beers. Lucas stealing my fries at a food truck. Lucas asleep on my couch after a late-night work session. In every picture, he was there, steady and warm, like a heartbeat I hadn't noticed until now. I texted him, "We need to talk. Tomorrow. My place." His reply was instant, "I'll be there." He showed up Sunday morning, looking like he hadn't slept in days, dark circles under his eyes, his hair a mess. He stood in my doorway, hands in his pockets, and I almost forgot how to breathe. "Can I come in?" he asked, his voice soft. I nodded, stepping aside. We sat on my couch, the silence thick between us. Finally, I spoke. "Why didn't you just tell me? All this time? Lucas, why the games?" He looked down, his hands twisting together. I was scared. You're everything, Jamie." I didn't know how to say it without ruining what we had. And when you started dating, I panicked. I thought if I could keep you single, maybe I'd have a chance. A chance. I laughed, sharp and bitter. You had a million chances. You were my best friend. You could have just talked to me. I know, he said, his voice breaking. I screwed up. I thought I was protecting you, but I was just protecting myself. I'm so sorry, Jamie. His apology hung there, raw and real. I wanted to stay angry, to hold on to the hurt. But looking at him, his eyes glassy, his shoulders slumped, I felt something shift. How long? I asked. How long have you felt this way? He swallowed hard. Since the first week you started at Bright Vibe. You walked in, all nervous energy and bad jokes. And I was done for. I didn't know what to say. 2 years. He'd been carrying this for 2 years. And I'd been blind to it. Why didn't you think I'd feel the same? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He looked at me, startled. Do you? I didn't answer. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know. My head was a storm, and my heart was caught in the middle. Instead, I said, I need time. Lucas, you hurt me. I can't just jump into this. He nodded, his eyes never leaving mine. I'll wait. However long it takes. He left, and I spent the rest of the day pacing my apartment, replaying every moment we'd shared. The way he'd always been there. The way he'd made me laugh. The way his hand had brushed mine once, sending a jolt I'd ignored. Was Mia right? Had I been ignoring what was right in front of me? The next week, I threw myself into work, trying to drown out the noise in my head. Lucas kept his distance, but I felt his presence everywhere, his laugh in the break room, his sketches pinned to the wall. I missed him. Not the Lucas who'd sabotaged my dates, but the Lucas who'd been my anchor. One night, I matched with a new guy, Sam, on the app. He was kind, funny, a teacher who loved hiking. I agreed to meet him, half out of habit, half to test myself. The date was nice, Sam was great. Actually, but halfway through, I realized I was comparing him to Lucas. His smile wasn't as warm. His jokes didn't land the same. I went home feeling more confused than ever. I called Mia. I think I'm in love with him, I said, the words spilling out before I could stop them. But I'm still so mad. She laughed softly. Love's messy like that. You don't have to forgive him right away, but you owe it to yourself to figure out what you want. I knew she was right. But figuring it out meant facing Lucas again. And I wasn't sure I was ready for that. The days blurred together, each one a tug of war between my head and my heart. I couldn't stop thinking about Lucas's confession, his betrayal, the way his eyes had looked when he said he loved me. But every time I softened, the anger surged back. He'd crossed a line, and I wasn't sure I could trust him again. At work, we danced around each other, polite but distant. He'd smile when we passed in the hall, but it was cautious, like he was afraid to push too far. I hated how much I missed our old rhythm, the late-night brainstorming sessions, the inside jokes. I missed him, but I couldn't let go of the hurt. One evening, I found a note on my desk, tucked under my mousepad. Lucas's handwriting. Neat and familiar. I'm sorry. I'll keep saying it until you believe me. I stared at it, my throat tight. Part of me wanted to crumple it, but I slipped it into my pocket instead. That weekend, I went on another date, this time with a guy named Alex. He was a musician, all charm and easy confidence. And for a few hours, I let myself get lost in his stories. But when he reached for my hand, I pulled back, my mind flashing to Lucas. I ended the date early, claiming a headache, and walked home under a sky heavy with stars. The next morning, I found Lucas at a coffee shop near the office, sketching in a notebook. He looked up, surprised, when I sat across from him. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. He closed his notebook, his hands trembling slightly. "Okay." I took a deep breath. "I'm trying to understand why you did it. Not just the sabotage, but why you hid how you felt for so long. You're my best friend. Lucas, you could have told me." He looked down, his fingers tracing the edge of his coffee cup. "I didn't think I was good enough for you. You're fearless. Jamie. You go after what you want. And I was just the guy in the background, too scared to mess things up. When you started dating, I thought I'd lose you for good." His words hit hard, peeling back layers I hadn't seen. Lucas, confident and untouchable, was just as scared as I was. "So you decided to ruin my dates instead?" I asked, my voice softer now. He winced. "I know it was wrong. I'd see you light up talking about these guys, and it killed me. I thought if I could stop it, maybe you'd see me instead. It was selfish. I hate myself for it." I leaned back, processing. "You didn't just hurt me. Lucas, you broke my trust. I don't know how to get that back." He nodded, his eyes glistening. "I'll do whatever it takes. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but I'm not going anywhere." We sat in silence, the weight of his words settling between us. For the first time, I saw him clearly, not the office jokester, not the saboteur, but the man who'd been quietly loving me for years. It didn't erase the pain, but it shifted something inside me. Over the next few weeks, Lucas kept his promise. He didn't push, didn't pry, but he was there, small gestures, like bringing me coffee or leaving post-it notes with dumb doodles on my desk. Slowly, the wall I'd built started to crack. I caught myself smiling at his texts, lingering when he laughed. But I still held back, afraid to leap. One night, we stayed late at the office, working on a big pitch. The city sparkled outside, and the office was quiet, just the two of us. As we packed up, Lucas hesitated by the door. "Can I walk you home?" he asked. I nodded, and we stepped into the chilly night, our breath visible in the air. We walked in silence at first, the tension thick but not uncomfortable. Then he spoke. "I'm not asking for anything, Jamie. I just want you to know I'm here. No more games." I stopped, looking at him under a street lamp. His face was open, vulnerable, and for the first time, I let myself imagine us together, not as friends, but as something more. "I'm still figuring it out," I said, "but I'm not saying no." His smile was small but real, and it warmed me more than I wanted to admit. Winter crept into New York, blanketing the city in frost and early sunsets. I was still wrestling with Lucas, with what he'd done and what he'd said. Every time I thought I was ready to forgive him, the memory of his betrayal would flare up, stopping me cold. But the more time we spent together, the harder it was to stay angry. We fell back into a cautious rhythm at work, shared lunches, quick chats in the break room. He didn't push, but his presence was steady, like a lighthouse in a storm. I started noticing things I hadn't before, the way his laugh crinkled his eyes, the way he'd hum softly while sketching. It was disarming, and it scared me. One evening, we grabbed drinks after work at a bar in the East Village. The place was packed, all twinkle lights and loud music, but it felt like just the two of us. Over beers, I finally asked the question I'd been avoiding. "Lucas, why didn't you ever date anyone? In all the time I've known you, you never mentioned anyone." He looked at his bottle, peeling the label. "Because I was waiting for you." My heart stuttered. That's a lot to put on one person. "I know," he said, meeting my eyes. "It wasn't fair, but it's the truth. No one else ever measured up." I didn't know how to respond. Part of me wanted to lean across the table and kiss him. Part of me wanted to run. Instead, I changed the subject, and he let me. But the air between us had shifted. The next day, I got a message from a new guy, Ben, on the app. He was sweet, a librarian with a love for sci-fi novels. I agreed to meet him, more out of habit than hope. The date was fine. Ben was kind, attentive, but my mind kept drifting to Lucas. When Ben asked if I wanted to meet again, I hesitated. "I'll let you know," I said, and I meant it. That night, I called Lucas. I went on a date. I told him, testing the waters. He was quiet for a moment. "How'd it go?" "It was okay. But it wasn't you." The silence on the other end was heavy, charged. "Jamie," he said finally, his voice soft. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I'm scared," I admitted. "I'm scared to trust you again. But I'm also scared of what happens if I don't try." He didn't push, didn't rush me. "I'm here," he said, "whenever you're ready." The next few weeks were a slow dance. We spent more time together outside work, movies, walks in Central Park, late-night talks on my fire escape. He opened up about his past, his fears, the way he'd struggled with his feelings for me. I started to see the man behind the mistakes, and it was harder to hold on to my anger. One night, as snow fell outside, we sat on my couch, a blanket draped over us. He was telling a story about a client, his hands animated, and I couldn't stop watching him. The way he moved, the way he carried it hit me like a wave. I was in love with him. "Lucas," I said, cutting him off. He stopped, looking at me, and I took a breath. "I forgive you." His eyes widened, hope flickering. "You mean it?" I nodded. "But if you ever pull something like that again, I'm done. No second chances." He smiled, tentative but real. "I swear. Jamie, no more secrets." We didn't kiss that night, but we didn't need to. The air between us was enough, charged with possibility. Forgiving Lucas didn't mean everything was fixed. Trust is a fragile thing, and ours was still mending. But we were trying. And that felt like enough for now. New York buzzed around us. A constant reminder that life didn't stop for heartbreak or healing. We started small coffee dates. Walks along the Hudson. Moments that felt like us but new. He was careful. Always checking in. Making sure I was okay. I appreciated it. But sometimes it felt like he was holding his breath. Waiting for me to change my mind. One Saturday, we went to an art gallery in Soho. Wandering through rooms filled with bold colors and strange shapes. Lucas stopped at a painting of two figures. Their outlines blurred. Reaching for each other. "This is us," he said, half joking. But his eyes were serious. I looked at the painting. Then at him. Blurry and a little messy. He laughed. "Exactly." That night, we ended up at his place. Cooking pasta and drinking cheap wine. The kitchen was a mess. Sauce splattered on the counter. But it was perfect. As we ate, he reached for my hand. His thumb brushing my knuckles. "I don't want to mess this up," he said. "You won't," I said. And for the first time, I believed it. But the past wasn't done with us. A week later, I got a message from Noah, the photographer who'd ghosted me. "Hey, Jamie. I owe you an apology. Can we talk?" My stomach twisted. I hadn't thought about him in months. But the timing felt like a test. I showed Lucas the message. His face tightened. But he didn't look away. "What do you want to do?" he asked. "I want to know why he bailed," I said. "Not because I want him, but because I need closure." He nodded. His jaw set. "Do it. I trust you." I met Noah at a cafe. My nerves on edge. He looked nervous too. His hands fidgeting with a napkin. "I'm sorry I disappeared," he said. "I got a message from your account, saying you weren't interested. I thought you were blowing me off." My blood ran cold. "I never sent that." He frowned, pulling out his phone to show me the Messagia screenshot from my dating app. Sent the night of our date. Lucas. It had to be him. I thanked Noah, left the cafe, and called Lucas, my hand shaking. "Did you message Noah?" I asked, my voice sharp. He was silent for a moment. "Yeah," he admitted. I was scared. "Jamie, I thought I was losing you." I hung up, my heart pounding. I wanted to scream, to throw something. But mostly, I just felt tired. How many times could we do this? When I got to his place, he was waiting outside, his face pale. "I'm sorry," he said before I could speak. I panicked. I know I promised no more secrets. And I broke that. I'll do anything to make this right. I looked at him. The man I loved. The man who kept hurting me. I can't keep doing this. "Lucas, I love you. But I need to know you're all in. No more lies." "I am," he said, his voice breaking. "I swear. Jamie, I'm all in." I didn't know if I could believe him, but I wanted to. So I stayed. And we really talked about trust. About fear. About what we both wanted. It wasn't easy, but it was honest. Spring came to New York. The city blooming with possibility. Lucas and I were still navigating our new normal. A delicate balance of hope and caution. He was trying, God. He was trying, and I was too. But trust is a slow build, and we were laying each brick carefully. We started spending more time together, not just as friends, but as something more. Our first official date was at a tiny jazz club in Harlem, the music wrapping around us like a warm blanket. He held my hand under the table, and I let him, my heart racing but happy. At work, things were different too. Our coworkers noticed the shift whispers and knowing smiles when we laughed together. Mia cornered me one day, grinning. "You too are disgusting," she teased. "But I'm happy for you." I smiled, but the fear lingered. What if Lucas slipped again? What if I couldn't fully let go of the past? One evening, we walked through Central Park, the cherry blossoms in full bloom. Lucas stopped by a fountain, his hands in his pockets. "I want to tell you something," he said. "I deleted the dating app from my phone. Not because I don't trust you, but because I want you to know I'm not hiding anything." I looked at him, the sincerity in his eyes, and felt a weight lift. "Thank you," I said. He stepped closer, his hand brushing my cheek. "I love you, Jamie. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to be the guy you deserve." I kissed him then, under the cherry blossoms, the world falling away. It wasn't a fix, but it was a start. Over the next few months, we built something real. We fought. We laughed. We learned each other in new ways. He told me about his childhood, his fears of never being enough. I told him about my own insecurities, the way I'd always felt like I was chasing something I couldn't catch. Together, we were messy but honest, and it was enough. One night, as we lay in bed, the city quiet outside, he whispered, "I'm so glad you didn't give up on me." I smiled, my hand finding his. "I'm glad I didn't either." By summer, Lucas and I were steady, not perfect, but steady. New York felt like ours now, every corner holding a memory of us. We'd faced the worst as betrayal, my doubts, and come out stronger. Love, I learned, wasn't about avoiding mistakes, but about choosing to fix them. One evening, we stood on the Brooklyn Bridge, the city glittering below. Lucas turned to me, his eyes bright. "I used to think love was something you find," he said. "But with you, it's something we built." I smiled, my heart full. "We're still building." He laughed, pulling me close. "Yeah, and I wouldn't have it any other way." We kissed, the skyline stretching out before us, a testament to second chances. My failed dates, the heartbreak, the sabotage all led me here, to him. And as the city hummed around us, I knew one thing for sure: love was worth the fight.